Good afternoon, everyone. Thanks for joining us. Turnkey is very committed and involved with the GP user group. We have consultants that are actively involved in the local chapters. We are a member of the GP user group ourselves. One of the biggest events around the GP user group community is the event called Summit, which I'm not sure if many of you have heard of, but I want to take some time this afternoon to kind of share my recent experience with Summit, just to kind of share some things I learned, some things about Summit, if perhaps you guys are considering ever attending in the future. I thought it'd be a good opportunity to kind of hit some highlights. This year is actually hosted in Nashville, Tennessee, from October 10th through 13th. It's at the Gaylord Opryland Resort and Convention Center. Not sure if anyone in the room has ever been to this property, but it's a pretty amazing place. If you haven't been there, if you find yourself going through the Nashville area, I would definitely recommend swinging by, because there's a lot to see and do, not only at the property itself, but around the Nashville area. This kind of gives you a hint, the size of the property kind of shows you the magnitude of something like Summit, because there are so many people and so many opportunities. They really need a huge venue like that to actually be able to house it. Due to the fact that it was in Nashville, some of the fun components was that the user group community really embraced the whole Nashville component. So it was very common walking around throughout the sessions to see different members of the community and GP peers, if you will, wearing cowboy boots, hats and Western wear. During the opening session, probably 3,000 plus people, as they were filing in, they handed out to everybody one of these yellow cowbells that says hashtag GPUG. And the whole idea was that throughout the 3 days, if you're in a session or listening to a presentation and the presenter said something that you found was interesting, funny, or helpful, or something you could take back to your organization, you were supposed to clang your cowbell. So it was a very fun idea, especially at the beginning of the conference. But you can imagine after 3 days, you found a lot of people were saying, please, no more cowbell. So I thought that was kind of a funny thing. I also got a real kick out of one of the general sessions where they really embraced Nashville being the home of country music. So they actually brought in this country band, and they call them the Summit Swampers. And the whole idea was to work with the GP user group community to write a song, country western song, based on GP. Not only write it, but they wanted the whole group to sing it, and then they actually recorded it. I actually included the video on the presentation. We're not going to play it today because the sound quality is best if you actually play it on your own laptop. But what I thought was kind of humorous is the lyrics went a little something like this. So if you kind of think of a country western tune in your head, it was stuck in the cloud, data's raining on me, going to reach out to the GPUG, got a big problem, need some big help, got to put another tool in my GPUG tool belt. So it's probably not as entertaining just reading the lyrics, but you can imagine 3,000 people, in the GP user group singing along to this country western band. So as much education as that was there, and the networking opportunities, there definitely was a lot of fun to be had as well. So for those of you that don't know what Summit is, GPUG Summit is actually an annual educational conference and expo hosted by the Dynamics GP user group community. The key important thing about that bullet is it is for the users, by the users, so it actually is run by the community, which really lends itself to a lot of interaction between users and people who are using this as part of their day-to-day interaction. It's not just GP that's there. Summit itself is actually a combined event with AX, CRM, NAV, and the D365 user groups. So you guys can kind of start to get a magnitude of the amount of people and the amount of exhibitors and Microsoft staff that are there. So all in all, it brings together over 7,000 Dynamics users, partners, and Microsoft employees into a single space, which is a pretty amazing opportunity. One of the best things about participating in these kinds of events is really being able to stay abreast of industry updates and what's going on. As we mentioned, it's not just users that are there. It's Microsoft execs, industry experts, your peers within the industry that you can network with to really not only understand the direction of the industry, but also learn more about really what's the future of the GP product as well. One thing that has kind of kept recurring throughout the summit was the fact that Microsoft really takes feedback from users seriously and likes to incorporate those features and functions into future product releases. So almost every session or so, there was a reminder to make sure if you think of things or you have suggestions that you'd like to see added to the product, to make sure you go out to connect.microsoft.com and actually report that feedback. It's really important that they get the feedback from the direct users and kind of know what users are wanting to see. Another key theme of the conference really was the features and functions, kind of like Sean just presented, around GP 2018. You all know it was just released earlier this month, and so a lot of the tips and tricks and sessions were focused around things that you could do in 2018 that maybe you didn't have access to before. During the general session, they put up a roadmap for the GP product. The biggest change that they shared with the community was the fact that in the past, where they've had 2 releases per year, really starting with GP 2018, Microsoft is looking to shift to a more annual release schedule. So obviously we just had 2018 come out. The second half of next year is when we look to have GP Next. And then of course in 2019, the next release, 2020, 2021, kind of going forward. Obviously they're calling it GP Next because it has no name at this point in time. I will tell you by the end of Summit, a lot of people were calling it GP 2019. That's not the official name, but you kind of get the idea from a naming convention and a release schedule. And that's where the product at least is headed. In addition to industry updates, obviously educational opportunities are a real essential part of Summit. You can attend sessions, learn more about GP tips and tricks from other GP users. They've got interactive GP training sessions that occur prior to the conference that you can attend. What I thought was cool personally was the fact that you actually have access to over 190 interactive sessions that are with your peers and presented by subject matter experts, industry experts. So it's people that really know how the day-to-day processing within the application works. Probably one of the coolest things is the fact that not only are there so many sessions to choose from, but they're actually broken down by functional area. So if you're there to talk about BI, HR payroll, you need information about upgrading GP or working in IT, what's kind of nice, you can kind of create an itinerary to be able to kind of hit all the information that's important to you. Or a lot of people send multiple folks, then you can kind of make sure you tag team and go to the sessions that are going to be more beneficial for your organization upon your return. As Sean kind of alluded to for his departure from the previous presentation, obviously networking is a big part of being involved in the GP user group community. Having interaction with GP users, not only just from around the country, but around the globe, was a great opportunity to hear. If you're having a problem, maybe someone else is having that problem as well. How do you guys handle this? Share with me how you're handling that. The really interaction between users is definitely a good leverage to have. Be able to discuss best business practices amongst your peers. It's obviously a valuable asset. Networking with Microsoft staff and industry experts that you may not have day-to-day access with is also kind of a key feature. What I kind of love, there was plenty of advanced networking opportunities, which I put in quotes because during the conference I really learned that was code for happy hour, VIP parties, and all the fun stuff that happens kind of beyond the general sessions. But it's also a great opportunity from a Turnkey perspective to spend time with our customers. So I was able to connect with some Turnkey clients that were actually in attendance at GP Summit this year. So I thought adding that picture would be kind of fun to share with you all today. So in addition to industry information, educational sessions, networking, there's also a lot of opportunity to explore and discover what's new and changing, how can I use the system more efficiently. The exposition hall there was massive. There's over 240 companies that represented ISVs and add-on solutions in the exhibit hall alone, which I thought was fascinating. Is out of those, almost half of them were there representing Dynamics GP. So there's so much going on and so much information that you could really glean. It's also a great opportunity to find out how Turnkey technology partners are leveraging technology to add new value to Dynamics GP. And of course, you have the opportunity to see system demonstrations and again, kind of really interact with a lot of other users. They had a community theater in the back of the exposition hall, which they have every year. These are like 15-minute presentations that are again presented by users for users. So it's really geared to kind of helping you learn as much as possible. They've already announced that next year, Summit's actually going to be October 15th through 18th. It is going to be in Phoenix, Arizona, which should be nice and warm and sunny by that time of year. Just so you guys know, early registration is slated to open in December. It actually might be open now. They usually offer a pretty substantial discount for early registration. It ranges between $400 to $600 off per user. So you might just want to put something on your calendar if it's something that you or your organization are interested in attending. You might want to monitor it because you can always register early and then decide later who's going to go. The other little tip and trick I learned just from being my first summit that I attended was to kind of monitor the hotel information as well. They open up registration this month and they actually announced the hotel in March. although Summit's not till October. So if you kind of monitor it, you can get in early and make sure you book a room, because obviously with 7,000 plus people descending on one location, if you wait too long, chances of you actually staying at the property where the conference is not going to be likely. So set a reminder to check those things early. Other than that, I hope to see some of your faces there.